I wanted to begin with first just a bit of gratitude. When you start Naviance, and those of you who have lived in this space, you get that great opportunity to get the subscription, you get really excited. In the space that I live in, you get so excited that all of a sudden, and then the next wave is, oh my goodness. And the spirit of gratitude, I think, is really important to also carry into this, and I would say it's part of our career and life ready framework, which is the ability to be able to show gratitude. So this morning, I wanted to thank Dr. Chris Dusenberry because at the place that I have returned in Washington Township, we needed to figure out how to sync our SIS system, which is Skyward, with Naviance, and that's a little more tricky in some SIS systems. So I just wanted to thank Dr. Dusenberry because without her being willing to stand by and help MSD Washington Township, that wouldn't have been done. The second thing that I wanted to share was Wendy Skavinsky came to my office when I was in Westfield. This was back in 2013, I believe. And I just wanted to say gratitude to her because when you're with other people and their momentum is so intense and sometimes it frightens you, it frightens me slightly. But what I will say is with love and with respect and with honor, I'm so glad that you are a colleague. I'm glad that you're a trusted partner, and I'm so glad that you are willing to support and offer this to all of us. So thank you so much, and your team. Thank you. And also, when you do your campaign investigation, I would like to be part of that. So, just in case there's a political leaning, sorry. So, what I also would like to just thank is I feel like I'm the benefit of some really great people. So my mentors who've been able to be a part of my life to bring me to this point to work with you. And I look at around the faces, I see some people that I've known, whether I was at College Board or I was at North Central the first time. This is my second tour of duty at North Central in Washington Township. I'm a North Central graduate, and many of you are graduates of high schools or the schools in which you work, and I just want to say thank you for your willingness and your gratitude to you for giving back to your communities. I'm looking at my colleague Nancy Hernia, and I catch her eye because when we started this in 2012 in Westfield, we asked Nancy if she would open up her team and allow in Hamilton Southeastern and in Fishers to show us how to do it in Westfield. And she was so gracious when she allowed that. And the reason why I'm exhibiting this gratitude is the success of the people that have been speaking before me as well as myself. I just want everyone to be completely on level. No one divined this. We all had to lean on other people to make this happen. So if you're sitting there feeling like, my goodness, I'm not certain how we're going to get to this point, please know that you are not alone, that you are very bright. You will find an incredible solution, and it will be right for you, and it will be right for your district. And just know that we are all here to lean on each other, and that's just the way it goes. But that's the gratitude part of today. So thank you for allowing me that preparatory comment. In my greatest experience, I think thus far, and I've shared this with other people, is when I was in Westfield, Washington schools. My background is in counseling, most recently a certification in licensed mental health counseling. But before that, I was director of admission at Butler University, Whitman College in Washington State. So I spent 15 years in the trenches in college admission. And then I did a master's program in school counseling at Butler. And then I thought, I'll just kind of use this as I'm staying in college admission. And I ended up being lucky enough to go to Washington Township to North Central and start the first college advising program in the state. And the thing I will say is that mental health background helped me kind of collect to be able to move forward, because we're working with kids that are hurting, kids that are marginalized, irrespective of ethnicity, cultural background. Our kids are hurting. And so I'm so glad that Naviance has really embedded the SEL culture within its college and career life ready framework, because I think it serves all of us well, irrespective of whether you're in suburban, you're in an urban district or a rural district. I'm hoping that you will also tap in. I just wanted to see a show of hands. How many of you were lucky enough to be at Indiana Educating the Whole Child Conference, which was the last week of February? All right, you would hold your hands up. I just wanted you guys to see these people because, like myself, these folks were given an opportunity to really participate and hold space, and they know great things about helping our kids in this whole child framework. So I just want to say thanks to those colleagues also who took the time and presented and gave us great things to think about. Thank you so much. This is a depiction of what I think in middle school it feels like. I taught a course and developed a class at Westfield Middle School called College Careers and Readiness for Success. And then what that will lead to is you'll hear from our 7th grade, we were able then to hire 2 CTE teachers, one at the 7th grade level and one at the 8th grade level at Westfield Middle School. And they teach all day long college and careers and success. You'll hear from one of the teachers, and she's going to give you some very specific things, and I want to give you just a preparatory kind of introduction as well. When I created the class at the 8th grade level, this is what I felt. I had 36 to 40 students at each period, and this is what it felt like they looked like to me as I was coming in. I had a high school background, and I will tell you, I've fallen in love with the middle. I'm a convert, I'm a total convert, but what I felt was it was important to connect to them in very key ways, and specifically the self-awareness and the capacity to be able to understand self, because right now that's kind of where they live. So I mention this just because the CCLR format or framework that we've got in front of us was greatly influenced by model and work that's done by Castle. And those of you who understand Castle and probably are in some form or fashion using it in your district, this definitely is a part of what shapes the Westfield approach. And I don't work in Westfield any longer, but I feel like I need to give a shout out to the district and others that are really baking this into their college, career, and life-ready format, because this is really what informs on the middle school level. I wanted to share, I have a permission from a student. One of my former students, Amy Espinoza, she is now a senior at Westfield High School, and many of you use the Strengths Explorer. And so in my course, what we did is we spent about 2 weeks on the playbook itself. How many of you are using, not only giving the Strengths Explorer, but you actually use the playbook as part of the course? All right, Dr. Duesenberry, of course you are. You probably wrote the book. But anyway, what I found was helpful was to kind of chunk up the Strengths Explorer playbook, and it's available as a PDF. When you go to the Naviance program, you just go to the Strengths Explorer, and you go to the community resources, and it's all available. There's a teacher playbook, there's a student playbook, and there's a parent playbook, and it's available and it's waiting for you right now. What I like to do is I use this teacher and the student playbook, and this is, Amy has given me the permission to share this with you. But what I asked for students to do was essentially take the different aspects of the playbook, and we would incorporate that into the work that they were doing on reflection. That was building towards what we would consider to be the Capstone project. So in 8th grade, what our students would do is at the end of the trimester, there's a dedicated class, 8th grade class, and a 7th grade class. It's one trimester, and now that's gone to 9 weeks, correct, Jan? Okay, Jan's going to talk about this. But I wanted to share this with you, so if it's of any use to you, feel free to copy it, do whatever you want, or just kind of incorporate it into what you're already doing. So what students do in this Capstone course is they produce essentially a binder, and at this point we can certainly do an e-binder, but it would be these aspects. They do a Strengths Explorer playbook. I have the milestones, kind of talking about these are the things that have happened in my life so far. Maybe I've been displaced, maybe my parents have been divorced, maybe I was able to make a varsity soccer team, maybe I got a great job of helping as a mother's helper, or maybe as a smart sitter. Variety of things, and that's their milestones. Then they did career profiles. I had them do 6 career profiles, and the thing I wanted them to do was to do career areas where the minimal amount of education that you could have, like a very short term, like maybe a short-term certification, some post-secondary credential, and in that same career, what would be the maximum education to be able to also perform in that area. So we did it that way. They ultimately ended up with choosing a career and then doing a reflection. And then they did the last part of this, which was kind of fun, was they did their elevator speech. And so getting 8th graders to do an elevator speech, you're like, well, they talk all the time. Of course they're going to want to do this. But actually, what they would do is they would present their binders. They wouldn't go over their binders, or they wouldn't do an exhibition formally, but they would turn them in. Then we would evaluate them and give them a sense of, and I'm happy to give this to anybody who wants it. If you want it, just email me and I'll send it to you. This is the rubric for evaluating the parts of the Capstone project. And then from there, this is just kind of gives you the overview of what that assignment looks like and the different components to it. I did this, I started this in 2015, and then I was able to teach this course for a few years. Then we hired Johnny Payne, who's an amazing CTE teacher at the grade 8 level, and he teaches the 8th grade level. And the person who is going to come up next is Jan Carnes, and she's going to give you some effective practices and some of the things that she's doing. But I wanted you to have this, and also just know that you are not alone. You are very valued. You are very smart. You're going to do great things, and know that you have other people in this room to lean on, and that one of those people happens to be me and the other people that I've spoken today. So, Jan, if you wouldn't mind, would you please come on up? Thanks, everybody. I think we need to transition to Jan.
Then hopefully the gentleman, he was going to get the Google slides.
Right? Was here.
Well, anyway, why they're pulling that up, and I owe a lot of thanks to Carroll, because when I was teaching the computer technology class at the middle school since 2002, and when Carroll started doing this 8th grade class, and then they decided they wanted to put this at the 7th grade level as well, we were able to take what she did with one class and spread it out over 2 different classes, and she was such a great resource for us to know, and to help us decide. This should probably be done more so at the 7th grade level, and this more so at the 8th grade level.
And we're working on it.
Okay, no problem, no problem. I will tell you, our goal is to get every student into our CCLR classes in 7th grade and 8th grade. And it's a little easier now because we've gone to the quarters. So our class is just for the 9 weeks, and that makes a big difference. The majority of our focus, I will tell you, is on careers. I know it's called college and career readiness, but that we realize that's not really going to be for everyone. And so we want to focus on the career first, and then decide how to get there. The curriculum lessons we use with Naviance are awesome, and I will tell you, the kids get so excited about doing them. They're self-paced, they get to do on their own, they get to bring their headphones in if there's videos to watch, and they love being able to do that. As a matter of fact, if we have done some of the Naviance lessons for a while, I'll get the question, when are we going to do another Naviance lesson?
So, we're in business.
Good. Yay. There we go. Okay, I'll take notes here. Which direction do I All right, there we go. Got it. Okay, so the lessons are divided up, like for instance the self-discovery lessons. We have lessons on self-confidence, future dreams, what makes me unique, overcoming obstacles, and like I said, they've got the videos, and then there's reflection, and they can all take as much time as they want with it. It's very easy for me to grade if you want to go in and actually look at the different responses. You can. But there's another page where you can go and see completed, because a lot of times when you're talking 140 students with a lot of lessons and the other things that's involved, this just makes it a whole lot easier to grade. There's lessons on success skills, academic challenges, how I learn. They take a learning style assessment, which is really a great thing for them to have, and then that leads into, okay, so what's going to make it better for you for when it comes time to take tests? What's going to be a difference maker? What kind of things distract you in the classroom? Where should you be sitting? Things like that. And then there's the career planning lessons. They start out learning their interests, and that leads to searching careers either through names, categories, clusters, and pathways. We do the Holland Code assessment and find their top 3 out of the 6. And that's what I really like about Naviance, because then you can go to the career section and you can look up careers according to their Holland Code. So we'll put in artistic or social or whatever theirs are, and they can put in all 3, just 2, or the 1, and look through, and over on the right then will be all these careers. They can click on the individual careers, and it talks about what's done with what those career, well, I'll get into that in a second. The Career Cluster Finder is another assessment that they take, and that is in Naviance, and it finds their top clusters and it ranks them. I think it lists like about your top 16, and it ranks, what percentage you are in each one of those. And from there, it lists the activities you like, your personal qualities, and the school subjects that you do well in. And the students can go in and edit those. If there's something you're like, no, I don't quite agree with that doesn't describe you very well. So they can go in and deselect or select some others that fits in with it. And then that leads to the Naviance lessons, career interests, and a scavenger hunt that they do. And with the scavenger hunt, then I go and have them do a career presentation. They pick then one career, and again, all the information is in Naviance, and it'll list the top 5 skills needed for this career, the top 5 abilities, knowledge areas, and then a long list of tasks and activities that you will find in this particular career, and even the wages. And of course, 7th graders love looking at that, and it'll divide it up with the 50 states, and they can go in and look and see on average, what an accountant is going to make in Indiana, and compare that to California, and they're like, wow, I need to move to California. It's like, well, okay, let's talk about cost of living now. Try to make this all practical. And the Road Trip Nation videos, they love those. There are thousands of these. PBS actually created these videos, and they interview people who are top in their careers and a lot of celebrities that the kids already know. And they can either look up the videos according to interests like sports, art, film, technology. They can also look up the videos according to themes such as character, failure, doubt, honesty, inspiration. And I really like this because everyone gets done at different rates, and so you've got the kids that always get done really quick and early. It's like, well, there's plenty of things for you to do, and so they can go as deep into this as they want to, as time allows. And we also do a cover letter and a resume project. We project as if we've already, once they've found this career that they feel like it's a really good fit for them, and find out what they need for that. And so then we do this resume, not as a 7th grader, but as you've graduated from high school, or you have your certification or an associate's degree or a bachelor's or a master's or doctorate, whatever it was that was required, and put together what your resume might look like, and then also a cover letter, and talk about all the different things that go in the cover letter. And kids, it's amazing how into this they get, the cover letter and resume. I know it might sound somewhat boring, but they actually enjoy it. And then, moving on. Like I said, not quite as much time spent on college. It's funny with 7th graders, it's hard, probably the hardest thing teaching a 7th grader is to get them past the thought of what's for lunch, and who am I going to sit by at lunch, and what am I doing this weekend? To get them to, try to project their thoughts into, because like in Naviance, I have them spend time looking at high school courses at Westfield High School. They're already listed in Naviance, and so they can go in, read about the courses, and favor them, so that next year in 8th grade, when Johnny has them, they're going to do a 4-year plan for Westfield High School. And the guidance counselors are going to come over and do the same thing with them. They've already looked through all the courses, and they already have an idea of this is what I'm interested in. And again, there's a lot of Naviance lessons, the learning styles, study skills. I really enjoy the college myths lesson that's in there, and I even have them take a time where they research. I give each one of them a myth, and they present to the class what they found, the truth about that particular one. We're able to talk about grants, scholarships, work studies, what gets paid back, financial loans, what does not have to get paid back, 529 plans. Some of them are shocked to find, because I have them go home and ask their parent, yeah, my parents started a 529 plan when I was a baby. It's like, yeah, okay, not surprised. And then I've had other kids say, oh, I took home the link that you gave us and showed them what a 529 plan is, and now they want to start one. So it's a great conversation starter. We talk about room, board, tuition, fees. They always have lots of questions about college, GPA, SAT, and ACT requirements to get into college, and that leads to the super match, which I know someone spoke earlier about super match, how they love it. I love super match. It's awesome. There's, I believe, 9 criteria that they can choose, like location, academics, that now, and you know, because they've already done the career part, they know that if they want to do this particular career, well, I'm going to need a bachelor's degree, and my major is going to need to be in this. So then in Naviance, they can put that in. They can put in bachelor's degree, the major that it needs to be, if they care about the location, if they care about athletics, student life, acceptance rates. There's, like I said, 9 different things, and then it shows up, it'll then it'll populate down below, and it'll say, well, here's 100% matches for you. And then it'll go down, this is a 70% match, and, you know, and so on. And it will tell the students right there, well, this is the average GPA of students that are accepted to this college. And that leads then to a great conversation about acceptance rates and graduation rates. And they'll say, well, I found this college and it has a really high acceptance rate. It's really easy to get in. And I'm like, tell me the graduation rate. And then it's like really low, and they're like, oh, wow. And so then we talk about, you know, what are the possibilities? You know, why do you think this school does this? And, you know, why Notre Dame only has a, gosh, I want to say 17 or 19% acceptance rate, but they've got a 97% graduation rate. So it leads to lots of good conversations. Talk about the cost based on their parents' income. In Naviance, it'll show that. You put in what your parents' income is, and it'll show you, then this is about what you would pay at this college per year with that type of income. And then they write a letter to a college and talk about that they're a 7th grader at Westfield Middle School, and they're interested in their college because, and they tell all the different reasons now that they've been studying colleges, and then they hear back from the schools. Because of course, you know, you get to advertise there, and they also tell the college, and by the way, I'll be sharing this with my classmates, you know, whatever you send me. And so they get bumper stickers and lanyards and posters and different things sent to them, and every 7th grader loves something like that. And then I end the 9 weeks with a personal finance unit, and I actually use a Huntington Bank has a program for that. And there are a few Naviance lessons that go with that. There's an income and expense one, and what college costs. And we get into all the things you see there: checking and savings accounts, debit cards, setting financial goals, using SMART goals. Try to get them to understand the difference between a debit card and a credit card. I think we finally made it here. This is our last week, the 9 weeks. I think they finally got that. Identity theft, all the different things there. They love to talk about fishing and farming and all of that. And then I use 2 online programs. One's through Everfi, it's called Future Smart, and the other one's Bonsai. They really like doing these, and this one takes like, 3 days at the most. And it's, again, as we have time. If we have time, we do. If we don't, you know, it's something you can stand alone. In the same way with the Bonsai. And the Bonsai, they actually pay bills, and they, you know, using either a credit card or checking account or cash. And then, so that's basically what I do. This is Johnny's. I can't speak as much on that, but I will tell you, in the Naviance, some other people I think mentioned the strength, well, I know Carroll did, the Strengths Explorer and the Career Key that he does. And the Strengths Explorer, that playbook that she was talking about is awesome. And I get my favorite one page is where they go to their, we do at Westfield Power of 5 people, and we start that in 7th grade and run that all the way through high school, and people in their lives, the 5 most important adults in their lives. And then I have them go home with this and ask them, what positive words would you use to describe me? And I didn't come up with this. This is what the playbook has on it. And then they sign their name, that this is, you know, mom, grandma, whoever it is that did it. And then they have them read the results of the Strengths Explorer, which lists their top 3 strengths out of 10 strengths. And now that you've read my report, what words would you use to describe me? And it's really a great way for parents to pour, and other people in their lives to pour these positive conversations into them that maybe a lot of times it just doesn't come natural for people to have this conversation. Or it makes that possible because it's a homework assignment that's going to be required. So, they're going home and doing it because they want to get their points. And they end up loving it because of, the adults in their life being able to do that. He says that mock interviews go really well also, and he does the Capstone project that Carroll was talking about, and also the 21st Century Scholars. So all these other slides, these are our diploma tracks, which are constantly changing, it seems like. These are all Johnny's slides of the things that he covers then. And then once they've already taken the Colin test with me, and so they talk even further on that. The SMART goals, their career clusters, and this is in Naviance. He does the top 50 jobs in Indiana. Talks about college costs. So that's basically, I don't know, I said everything I wanted to say. I will say though that Naviance lends itself really well to e-learning, which is what we do now at Westfield for the first time. We started it this year, and we had 3 days where we're not going to have, we didn't make them up, we were actually did it online, and of course for attendance something has to be turned in. Well, it doesn't have to just be on Canvas, which is what we use. It can be something submitted somewhere else, such as Naviance. And so that makes that really easy. Plus, I've got students who are absent, and so the assignments are already on Canvas, so they know they need, if they weren't there, there's lessons they can do on their devices. We are one-to-one, but in my classroom I do have desktop. I have no idea what time it is, sorry. But that's about it. If you have any questions at all, feel free to email me at Westfield Middle School. It's Carnes, CARNESJ, at WWS. I'm sorry, I should have put it up there, .k12.in.us. I would be more than willing to answer questions.